My kids do chores? What? Yes, they do. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to know what chores are age appropriate. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication as well as child development all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we are talking about chores. In this video, we're going to be talking about struggles that parents often have when they're getting their children to do chores, and then how to help children do chores without the pushback. We'll also be talking about what is age appropriate when it comes to chores, and then I'm going to be sharing with you some great success strategies and some helps that you can use to help your family really thrive when it comes to chores. It's no secret, parents talk about their struggles all the time with trying to get their children to do chores. In fact, I cannot even count how many meetings or conversations I have had with parents over the years, or how many questions that I have answered on the Teaching Self-Government support group about children not wanting to do chores. Parents will say, "My child will not lift a finger. What do I do? They don't care. They won't help out." I know, the struggle is real. I could go into a lot of detail about why our society is having this struggle right now. I'm going to keep it really short on that though, and I'm just going to say that one of the biggest reasons that we are struggling with our children is because we have accepted as a society apathy, laziness. We have decided that the good life is just self-indulgence, pampering yourself, stimulation, pleasure caused by something else. We haven't decided that the good life is work. Now, I'm from the United States of America. The American dream actually really is that you can work as hard as you want to change your station and situation in life. You can work as hard as you want. Anything is possible with work. That means nobody's going to hold you back because you were raised in a certain place, or we're a certain religion or whatever. Nobody's going to, not in my country. That's the whole point of the American dream. But here's the deal, we're killing it. We're killing the American dream because of apathy. We're embracing a society where we don't have to work. See, our brains are so incredibly efficient that they keep helping us develop more efficient ways to do things. So it's like, oh, well, we could have a machine do that. We could have somebody else do that. We could just call DoorDash instead of make the dinner. We could whatever, which these are all great conveniences. We need them in our fast-paced society. But what I'm saying is if we lose our roots of work, then we end up encouraging a society of apathy. So that's one of the reasons why. There's probably many others too, and in your individual circumstances there could be others. But I know there's pushback. I know it's hard. There is a way to help children do chores without pushback. So let's talk about that. How do you help children do chores without pushback? Well, you have to create a work culture in your family. I have a whole other video that I hope that you will watch all about work and about why work matters for children and how to use chores with your children. So be sure to look that up and listen to that video, because that's going to help a lot with some of the cultural things that I'm just going to mention really briefly here. So family work. If you work together as a family, that is going to change the overall attitude about work. So don't just push work off on the children because you have other things to do that make money. No, everyone needs to be showing that they work and that they do it even when they're not making money. The other thing that you can do is teach your children the skills for how to actually follow through on a task, how to follow an instruction. So if you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know that I talk a lot about the self-government skills, the 4 basic skills, the 5 teaching styles, and in particular, the skill following instructions, which is the basic of all skills that children need to learn. If your children will not follow your instructions, you can't even parent them, and you can't help them develop properly either. So being able to follow an instruction ends up preparing a person to do any other type of work. Also, I think sometimes we make mistakes and we start having a person do work without them knowing ever when the end is going to happen. Now, sure, we want to teach our children to follow through until something's done, but at first we might need to work in time blocks so that our child knows, okay, I can get done with a certain time. I can work for a period of time. I can put full effort in for 3 minutes, or I can put full effort in for 60 seconds. I used to, when my children were little, before every meal, I would say, okay, we're going to do a 60-second pickup, because we have this great room, and this family room that they would play in was right by where we're going to eat dinner. And it just kind of made dinner not as comfortable when there was a mess everywhere. So I would do a 60-second pickup. They learned to pick up all their toys and books and things for 60 seconds before every meal and before bed. If they can work for 60 seconds, then they can teach themselves to work for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes. They have to develop that capacity. And you have to train it over time. Ideally, you start when they're very young and you train them on little tiny things, and then you increasingly expand their capacity by extending the length of time that a job might take. But let's say that didn't happen, your child's 16, you might have to start small and work your way up again. But hopefully that learning curve will be much quicker, much steeper, not steeper, much flatter, actually, I guess, right? Not as steep. Let's just say it that way. Hopefully the learning curve will not be as steep because your child is older, they have more cognitive abilities, they should be able to put the pieces together. But of course, the desire may not be there. Now, in our family, we should be focusing on unity and the concept of unity in our homes. In all of the things that I teach, I always go back to this concept of a family vision. And I teach that in my TSG parenting course about who we're actually becoming as a family. It's a super important concept because it makes it so that the child has to pull away from their own entitlement, their own apathy and laziness, and they have to actually consider who they are to the other people in the group that are around them. That is very important. Also, making sure that you have your roles in the right place. I do lots of training about that also in the TSG parenting course. There's many things you can look up there on roles, but making sure that you have that as well is going to really help your children follow instruction from you so that they can learn to work. Okay, so let's talk about how to know which chores are age appropriate for which ages. Now, this is a pretty complex question. I mean, in order to be completely exhaustive on this, I would have to take my list of chores, which is like over 300 chores long. Yes, I have made that list. And you know what? I'm going to give it to you for free in a way where you can use it super easy, okay? But I would have to take that list and I would have to go through all the different categories in that list. We don't have that type of time here. So I'm going to give you a few basics on age appropriate. By the way, I'm just going to tell you right now, you can find that list in my job jar on the Teaching Self-Government app. So I don't know if you know that, but I have a Teaching Self-Government app where you can get further education from Teaching Self-Government. We can stay connected. There's a support group feature there, but also there is a job jar. And you can type your child's name in, put their age, and it will populate jobs for that child, and it will tell you how long those things take, and it will actually do the age-appropriate work for you. But you still may need to know a few things about selecting something that is going to be appropriate for the age of your child. Not every single child is the same. So I created my huge list of all the chores that I could think of that have been used in my house and that could be used at possibly anyone's home for the Teaching Self-Government app in that job jar section, with the idea that these were for developmentally normal children of this age who have been trained by families who regularly work together, meaning work is not a shocker for them, okay? So if your child is, say, 15 years old, but they haven't done a lot of work, and maybe they're non-neurotypical, they have a hard time staying focused on things, that type of thing, it could take them a little bit longer. Maybe they're developmentally delayed in a way that they really don't process on their age level. Well, you need to know then that if you're going to use the Teaching Self-Government app, you might want to list them as a younger age than they are, or look for chores that have a different time amount that's a little bit less than what their age pulls up, because they might not be ready for some of those that would be developmentally typical or normal for a work healthy family. Okay, so if you have the Teaching Self-Government app and you are programming your children in there and you're consistently finding that they're taking more time with the chores that they have been assigned, don't worry about that. Just factor it into, there might be a little bit of a growth thing that has to happen. There might be, that they get better and better at working and staying on task and focusing as time goes by, and soon they'll get up to that mark, or they may even improve upon that time that I put there. So keep that in mind as well. And that younger children on a certain job, you might have two people having the same job. Maybe you have two people who are supposed to unload the silverware out of the dishwasher and put it in the drawer. Well, a 3-year-old can do that. All my 3-year-olds did do that. But it's going to take a 3-year-old longer than it will take a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old or a 15-year-old, obviously, because they're just learning how to organize by size and shape. And they have to think longer about this because they don't have the same cognitive ability. So when I programmed that particular task into the job jar function on the Teaching Self-Government app, I put that job should take 3 minutes plus. But honestly, a 12-year-old could probably do it in 1 minute, okay? Because it's just so quick. But a 3-year-old, the fastest they're probably going to be able to do it is 3 minutes. And that's the lowest level for that job. So what types of jobs can you pick for your 3-year-old? Things just like I mentioned, organizing the silverware and putting it back in the drawer, or possibly doing something like stacking books on a shelf, taking things to their room, taking shoes to be by the front door or from the front door to a room. So those basic little organizational things day to day where we move things around the house, those are great things to use for young children, little toddlers. Just so you know, toddlers can learn to fold towels. Maybe if something pulls up when you're putting in your toddler's name that's like fold laundry, you might be like, my 3-year-old? Really, Nicholeen? Yes, my 3-year-olds could fold their laundry and put it away. They couldn't get it out of the washer or dryer, but they could take it from a basket and fold it and put it away. Was it always pretty? No, but they could do it. And I started by doing it with them. So that's the other thing. When they're young, some of the chores would be age appropriate if the parent was there to help. But if the parent is not there to help, then they might struggle with that. So for young children, it should be easy for you if you're using the app. You just type in their age, it will pull it up for you, which will be really, really helpful. But if you don't have the app open at one point and you're giving a child a chore, think, am I moving something around the house? Is this something that if I did it with the child, they could do it? Well, then it's probably going to be age appropriate for the younger child. As they get to those middle ages, there gets to be some gray area there, and you want the children to keep stretching their chore ability. So keep working with them. By the time a child is 5 years old, they should be able to do the dishes themselves. They should be able to vacuum a room. They should be able to dust a room as long as it's things that are not too fragile or too high. They should be able to shake rugs, and they should be able to even possibly pull laundry out of a dryer, take it up to their room. They can help you change their bed sheets, all that kind of stuff that they should be able to do. They should be able to wash a bathroom sink. You may not want them doing the toilet yet, but they probably could even at age 5. It may not be the best job you've ever seen done, but they could do it. And then there's the older children. Once a child hits, honestly, about 8 or 9 years old, they can pretty much do almost anything. If you get the Teaching Self-Government app and you start using the job jar and you type in that you're, just to try it out, you type in that your child is 8 or 9 years old, you're going to get so many more options for jobs than if your child is 3. That's just how it is. Now, anyone can do a simple job like, I need you to throw this piece of paper in the trash. That's a simple little thing that you could assign to any age. But when you have an older child, sometimes you want them to do something else, like you need to clean the entire bathroom, okay? Once a child is 8 or 9, they should be able to clean the entire bathroom. They should be able to do all of their own laundry or anybody else's laundry. They should be able to sweep and wash all floors. They should be able to clean out cupboards, wash those cupboards. They should be able to take out garbages, clean garbage cans, vacuum rooms. They should be able to wash walls, wash blinds, windows, those types of things. Now, obviously, the parent has to train all of this stuff ahead of time. You've got to pre-teach it. That's a tip for you, okay? Because they don't just automatically know how to do it because of their age. You've got to be doing it with them regularly, not just having them be in the room while you do it. They've got to be part of it. But there are a few things that could be considered just for older children. So maybe there are some really fragile things that a person needs to have very good coordination to handle. Then maybe you would give those, even though an 8-year-old could dust them or wash them, you would give it to an older child. Maybe an older child would be able to handle a certain type of thing like washing a car better than somebody else, or there might be a huge job that happens outside that requires a lot of heavy lifting. Well, now you might have to have somebody who's 12 and older. Usually for sure by the time you hit age 12, there's probably hardly any jobs that are in the job jar on the Teaching Self-Government app that are for like anything beyond 12 and up. So it's all going to be like 12 and up mostly. There might be maybe 3 or 4 that might be a 15 and up, but that's about it. So really your children should be able to manage your whole household starting at about age 12. Not that we're going to give them the management of the whole household, you understand, but it is just very easy for them to do if they've been trained. So that was a brief about age appropriate, but we also went into a lot about jobs. I just have a few tips for you. Sometimes they're going to struggle, okay? Sometimes they're going to act like they hate it. Don't let that throw you off. They don't need to look like they like it. They should be able to be calm and just follow through. If they have an attitude problem, you've got to do more correction. They shouldn't get the opportunity to do that job yet. But they don't have to feel like, yay, this is my favorite thing. What you're doing is you're increasing their capacity. You're increasing their life skills. You're helping them step out of a comfort zone. You're helping them learn to solve problems. These are all very good training things. They're teaching things that parents must do. No one else will do it. You are the one that teaches your child to either like work or not. And you know what? My children did like work. They did it. They had no problem with it. And now that they're all running their own families, they're hard-working parents where they do chores with their children too. So if you need help with this chore thing, with this age-appropriate question, then definitely keep referring back to the Teaching Self-Government app because it's just going to make it all easier for you and it's completely free. So go to the App Store, go to the Play Store, get the app for free. Get started at helping your family have a lot more options with chores and tracking how long it's really taking your children so you can see their progress on how they're learning to work and how their capacity is expanding. I'll see you on the app.